All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. We're so happy to have you here with us today for our webinar on the first 90 days. Today, we're going to be talking about onboarding and training systems to optimize your team success at your child care centers and ECE programs. My name is Leah Woodbury. I work here at ProCare Solutions. I do our social media, our blogs. I hope you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the channels. We do try to share a lot of really good content with you, including content that we sometimes get from Kris Murray. So without further ado, I just want to talk about a couple quick things in today's webinar. Don't worry, we can't see or hear you. Video and sound is off during the presentation. We're going to have time at the end for questions, so enter them in the question tab. And if you're having trouble with your audio, exit out of all the other software. And a quick note, you are going to want to hang around until the end. We're going to give away a $100 Amazon gift card to one of you who stays on all the way through the end. And we're going to have another one for people who complete the survey at the end. So I don't think you're going to need much motivation to stick around when it's Kris Murray sharing all these really great tips, but we do want to know that that offer is out there on the table. And as you're listening to this presentation today, we just want to talk a little bit about ProCare. And as you're listening about staffing and onboarding, we do have a lot of tools that can help you. We're the all-in-one solution for child care centers. Everything is there. And as far as staff management, we have some great staff scheduling features. Our e-documents are really great to help you with your onboarding. A lot of staff prefer to do all their paperwork online versus filling out a huge stack of sheets. So those are a couple ways that we can help with onboarding, with staff management. And there's more, our curriculum offerings, that kind of thing. So we're always ready to help you with a demo, answer any questions that you do have. So without any more further ado, I'd love to welcome Kris Murray. She's the founder and CEO of the Child Care Success Company. And I'm going to let her walk you through, tell her a little bit about herself and her background and all the ways that she's been helping child care leaders for a long time. So Kris, take it away.
Thank you so much, Leah. I'm thrilled to be here with y'all today. Thanks so much to ProCare for welcoming me back in, and I hope that everybody's having a great Thursday out there across the world. I love audiences that come into webinars, and I love the ProCare audience because y'all are fantastic, and almost 400 folks registered for this, so I'm really, really over the moon about teaching you today one of my favorite topics, which is all about world-class onboarding and training so that you can support your team at the highest level of success with staff retention in that first 90 days of yumminess. Hopefully it's yummy for your people and for you as a leader, owner. But it's all about developing systems so that anybody in your organization knows exactly what happens in those first 90 days. And you guys have a very, very clear picture. I am Kris Murray. As Leah mentioned, I'm the founder of Child Care Success Company, and I will tell you my story just a little bit. If you don't know me, I'll give you just a little bit of backstory. But the meat of the content is rich today, so I'm going to dive right in. There's a lot to cover. So you're going to learn today a clear roadmap for world-class onboarding and training, and I'm going to give you a lot of real-world examples and photos as well of things that will excite you and motivate you that you can build into your onboarding structures and systems. And it's not a lot of hard work, but it is a huge, huge, huge payoff. There's probably nothing that you could do that would give you a bigger payoff in the stability and the empowerment and engagement of your team, more than really diving into giving them an incredible first 90 days onboarding experience. And then of course, ongoing training and professional development. I'm going to give you 3 tried and true onboarding strategies for improving job satisfaction and employee retention. We're going to talk a little bit about tech and automation. And yes, ProCare can definitely help you with everything that I'm teaching you. 4 ways to use professional development, and of course, lots of examples. So let's dive in. So again, if you don't know me, I'm going to make this rather brief, but I started in the world of childcare as a parent of two littles, and they are shown there on the right with me. My daughter Maeve and my son Owen were 3 and 6 when they were enrolled with Allison in her school with Kent Feaster in Hudson, Ohio, TLC Academy, and they're still going. And you can hear that whole origin story of myself as a coach consultant and coming to it as a marketer and a mom, and how I helped Allison during the recession in about 11 months, double her enrollment and get back to fully enrolled during the recession. And that is all described on episode 44 of my podcast, which is Childcare Rockstar Radio. Since then, we have created the world's largest and really first early childhood business coaching program. We have the largest program in the world with nearly 1,000 members, which is owners and their director admin leadership teams. And we also have started providing resources for teachers, and I'll talk about that at the end. And I'm going to give you some freebies and some gifts for staying for your teacher teams. So stay tuned for that. And we are very, very blessed to have grown such an incredible brand and coaching organization. This is our coaching team. We have 10 incredible coaches and subject matter experts that are actually still doing the work in the field. Most of them still own their preschools. Many of them are multi-site. And we have about 425 years of combined business and ECE expertise to bring. We also have 2 additional brand new coaches for our director admin track. We have a team track for leaders, and we have 2 additional brand new team track coaches, which are not on this slide yet. They're that new, but we're very, very excited. We have 7 books in the library. 6 of them are shown here. We have 2 volumes of Rockstar Stories, which are both behind me here in the podcast studio. And I'm sitting in Carbondale, Colorado, by the way, in case you're wondering where I'm located, near Aspen, up in the mountains of Colorado. Very, very excited and blessed to be able to bring you these titles via Amazon or our website. And we do have the podcast. So if you want some free, juicy bits of nuggets every single week, we actually release new episodes bi-weekly. We're up to 150 episodes and lots, hundreds of thousands of downloads, and we are on Spotify. So, and all the platforms, but we just most recently added Spotify as a platform, but we're pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Music, et cetera, et cetera. We do interview lots of ECE owners, leaders, multi-site owners, et cetera, in the podcast. And also we bring outside of industry experts as well that can kind of open up your mind to what's possible for you. Also, I've worked with a lot of business icons and celebrities. I'm trying to share our story in a bigger way, been on a lot of media appearances, and again, just trying to further the cause of the early learning industry. And I was very blessed and happy to be named Women of Influence, one of the 50 women in the world with Success Magazine to be named a Woman of Influence. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm probably the most proud of this Inc. 5,000 fastest growing company, 3 years in a row, going on a 4th. Hopefully we'll get named it again this year and be on the list. And if this is a goal for you, I can help you achieve this as a coach. But even more important than all of that, I am my kid's mom. And so Maeve is 17. She's about to graduate. She's turning 18 in 9 days. And Owen is 20 and he lives in Wyoming and he's doing great working in the automotive field. And I'm very, very proud of these 2 more than anything. So with that, hopefully that was not too much longer than a 3-minute share. In 2018, Bruce Spur and I, he's my partner over at Grow Your Center. And I just wanted to let you guys know really quick, because sometimes you're in pain around your digital assets, about creating beautiful websites, getting social media done, getting recruitment done. So if you're struggling with hiring, we do it for you. We bring you candidates, we vet them, and we also can help manage your CRMs and your Google ads. So we can help you in a lot of different ways digitally. If you're not a tech person and you just want to take it off your plate, learn more at growyourcenter.com. And we have built over 300 websites for ECE exclusively. That's all we do. And we would be honored to help you in that area as well. So let me start out foundationally, big picture at a 10,000 foot view before we dive into onboarding and training, is think about your business today. And these 6 drivers of growth in any business are things that I just want you to be aware of. And feel free to take a screenshot of this as well, you know, just to have it in front of you and maybe even post it on your desk is, where am I today in developing these things as an owner or a leader? And we're going to be focusing on this webinar with, of course, the hiring and the onboarding of A and B players. But it starts with full enrollment because it helps you have enough revenue and income to drive high quality and best practices into your business and to invest in software, in coaching, in your people, in that new playground, in services for parents. It helps you drive the business forward when you're fully enrolled with a wait list, as well as you have the right pricing structures. And so from that, we teach you how to hire and onboard A players, or this is the kind of the wheel in order of how you want to kind of grow your business and scale. This is all about scaling. You want to develop your leadership team. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. Drive them into creating process and structure for the business so that there's systems, accountability, and anybody can do any system if it's well documented. Innovation in software, and then having a financial dashboard so that you have the key metrics and KPIs, key performance indicators, to drive your business to the next level. And then having, of course, goals, and everybody, you know where you're headed, and you have a 3-year vision, and you're driving to the vision, and you're explaining that to your team, and everybody's excited. And now you've got all wheels on the bus going the same direction. And that is how you get to a scaling 7 to 8 figure early learning business. And that's what we teach inside of the Academy and in coaching. But I just wanted to bring you this today as a framework for how to think about your business and think about where is your biggest gap and where are you the bottleneck in the business. And when you start fixing that bottleneck behavior, your business will finally scale, because you as the owner may be keeping it artificially capped if you are the bottleneck. So just check in with that. Let's transition to the topic of the day, which is, what the heck is onboarding? Anyways, this term only became really a term over the last 5 years, really. Prior to that, we didn't really think about bringing new people in to our organization with a framework called onboarding. And why do we need it? And what's the difference between onboarding and training? So if you guys want to share in the chat a little bit about how you define onboarding or any thoughts about it, do you have a actual formal onboarding program, and just share any thoughts in chat with each other about that. But I wanted to just open up the conversation and tell you that how I view it. Back in the day, and we kind of have old school versus new school, and I'm going to talk about that. Back in the day, we didn't really feel management wise that onboarding was needed. We would just throw people into a position and kind of let them sink or swim. You might have heard the term baptism by fire. And guess what happens when you have that in your organization? People get burned and people leave. And you have to have a really top-notch school of excellence in 2023. You need to have a 30, 60, 90 onboarding program by role in your organization so that you can have a checklist and have a process to make sure that they are being trained, loved, brought into your core values, brought into your culture, doing things the way that y'all do them. This is how things are done around here. Feeling supported, supported in their wellness and in their employment journey, which is holistic now. It's not just about a paycheck. It's about much more than that. It's about bringing people into a work family and giving them the emotional and intellectual support to be successful in the workplace, and giving them that feeling that they're in a work family and they're with brothers and sisters in their workplace. And if you don't have that now, do not fret. You can build it. And we help people build cultures in schools every day. And so I wanted to give you just a little taste today of what that looks like. So the old school approach, right? You might get some giggles from this, is onboarding. Like, what the heck is onboarding? We just put them in a classroom. We just need to cover ratio, sink or swim. You'll learn from your other coworkers. Like, we don't need to train you. Can they fog a mirror? Do they have a pulse? And this is what I called fog a mirror hiring, is crap. We got to cover ratio and we're about to get a licensing visit. And what are we going to do? And we're in trouble. We're in jeopardy. We're at risk. And so not a great way to run a business, right? At the end of the day, it's unsupportive. It's poor leadership. It's bad for teachers. It's bad for children. So occasionally you might find yourself going back to this old school, but I hope that 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, that you embrace what we're talking about today. There are dozens, if not hundreds of leaders doing what I'm going to show you today in terms of the new school, which is creating spaces in your school. And you're going to see pictures of some from my coaches because they've developed these things for their schools. You're going to see collaboration. You're going to see positivity in mindset and mindset coaching. You're going to see places where people feel open to be creative, where there's a selfie wall, where there's cool things that give applicants and new candidates and new employees in your program that wow reaction. When they walk into your beautifully branded and decorated staff room, and they see free treats and goodies, and they see teacher appreciation going on right now, Teacher Appreciation Week, what do they feel? How are they feeling about the opportunity? Does their heart swell up and they get excited and they say yes to the opportunity? Because even though the pay might not be as much as Walmart or even fast food right now, my daughter just got a job paying $22 an hour to work at the golf club this summer in the locker room as a locker room attendant. $22 an hour. Now it's a little high here in wage scale, but you've got to paint the picture. If you want to compete, and this is going to impact your hiring, because when you're showing candidates around the opportunity, and you can show them visually through Zoom, through FaceTime, or through photos of the beautiful branded spaces that you've developed for them to train in and learn in and be community in, then you will attract more candidates. And so that's one way of many that we teach to how to win the hiring war, even though you might not pay as much. So you've got to have this energy and this vibe, because guess who you're hiring, guys? You're hiring millennials and Gen Z. For the most part. Yes, you're going to have some Gen Xers and maybe even a few baby boomers apply. But for the most part, you're going to be onboarding and hiring millennials and Gen Z. And let's just talk a little bit about them to frame this up, because the who matters. You've got to speak to, with today's hiring and onboarding strategies and techniques, the heart of the who that you're bringing in. And so the millennial candidate or teacher is between 26 and 41 years old. She was shaped by Columbine, 9/11, and the birth of the internet. She's motivated by responsibility, the quality of her manager, and unique work experiences. She wants experiences where she can come out of the classroom and lead projects, for example. Her communication style is in instant message, text, and email. And more than anything else about millennials, if you remember nothing else, they are purpose-driven. Purpose-driven. So you take your why, you take your vision and your core values, and I'm going to show you some examples of core values, and you hire to them, you put them in your ads, you put them on the wall, you do things in the onboarding to actually onboard to each core value. And then you remember, you always go back to the children. The differences that we're making for children and families are bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And they're very crisp and concrete. And so you're marketing your opportunity, your application opportunity, your job to millennials. You're actually selling them on your school. You guys have to get in the game of selling. And it's, yes, it's softer. It's, you're selling your organization. It's yummy. It's heartfelt. You've got your core values and your why. But at the end of the day, they have so many options. You've got to sell your opportunity. What about Gen Z? Born 1997 to 2012. She is currently between 10 and 25 years old. These are my two kids. Shaped by life after 9/11, social media, access to tech, the Great Recession, COVID, the Me Too movement, and racial unrest. They have a lot of trauma in their life and in their world. Also, they have been told that basically because they say the boomers wrecked it for us, they believe that the world is not going to be with us that long in terms of global warming, and that 50 years from now, we might be living on a dead planet. So there's a lot of angst in this group. And if they walk into a toxic environment, guess what? They are going to bail at lunchtime and maybe not even wait until lunch, because they're like, F it. Why do I need to stay here? The world's going to end. I've got all this strife. We went through a pandemic. You know, everything sucks. And so, and I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling anxious. And so I'm out. So that's the reality, guys. And you go, this workforce, I can't believe them. They will leave at lunch, but I'm gonna, yeah, but you got to come to the context of what did they live through? Use empathy. When you're hiring, you have to understand your audience, right? Read the room. So their worldview is they love individuality. Give them opportunities. This is where the whole selfie wall comes in your break room. Give them a chance to shine and show off the fact that they're part of this amazing team in an individual way, and you will win them over every time. Cool perks at work. It's not about the money so much. Money's cool, but it's really what's going to get them to stay, guys, is the cool perks at work, the individuality, the opportunities to rise up the org chart, to work with millennial managers, to be part of something bigger than themselves, and to have innovation and new technologies. Like give a Gen Z a technology issue that you can't figure out on your software, and they will do it for you in half the time, probably a third of the time. Very, very useful to have in a childcare environment, any company. So with that context in mind of who we're hiring, let's talk about onboarding. So you guys know this, but I just wanted to remind you today that there's so many benefits, tangible and intangible, to having an excellent onboarding process, to taking the time to map it out. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So, or ways to do that. So higher staff retention, which saves you tons of money and time, less money spent on hiring, and how much time, just tracking how much time we spend across our labor force of people on hiring one candidate, whether it's time spent on Indeed and plus interviews, plus group interviews, plus classroom auditions, plus calling them back, all that time. What is the average number of hours your team spends hiring one person? And know that number, you know, and if you can drive down your retention, drive up your retention and down your turnover by half this year over the next 12 months with these strategies, what will you save in hours and time? It's dramatic. Okay, better customer service, better employee engagement, collaboration, sharing, a happier workplace, less toxic, everybody's all in, same boat rowing the same direction, and then of course, happier kids at the end of the day. And our administrators sure would be happier too, right? If they're grumpy pants right now. So where are you in this journey? Do you got nothing? You have no onboarding program at all. So write down and maybe share in the chat. Where are you at? Are you 50% through developing a new onboarding program? Do you have one in place, but you feel like it has gaps and it could be stronger? Many of you will be in that position. So whether you're developing a new program from scratch or updating, these ideas that I'm going to share with you should help you, will help you meet your goals and your desired outcomes. But what are your goals and your desired outcomes, right? So only you know this. You have to go back to your team and to your leadership admin team and say, hey guys, this needs to be a project for summertime. And by the time we get to enrolling new kids in August/September, we are going to have a kick-ass onboarding and training program, or at least just start with onboarding, so that when people come in on day one, they feel loved, supported, trained, welcomed, and that they're cared for. Like we have checkpoints, and we're actually not just throwing them in a classroom and expecting them to sink or swim. Not that I'm suggesting anybody is still doing that, but just be real with yourself. All right, so here's the 3 strategies, and then I'm going to show you a bunch of examples of different strategies too. So you're going to get a lot more than 3 today. But number 1 is to have and share your core values and your core value behaviors. They're actually different. So the values are things like teamwork and integrity, growth, fun, education, excellence. And you can put them into phrases, and I'm going to show you some examples. The behaviors are specific behaviors that tie to each core value that you can hire, train, and fire by. They will help you live and breathe your core values. And today's millennials and Gen Z want an organization with core values, and y'all need to be hiring people that are coachable, because we need to coach people up. Just because they don't get it right away doesn't mean that they're still not a great hire. We need to find people that are coachable and then actually coach them to what we want in the core values. What does an A player in our organization look like? So on the left are Steve and Jessica's core values from Rocky Mountain Preschool, south of Denver. Family first, fun, respect, integrity, and progressive. And you can see a little behavioral statement under each one. So under fun is we want everyone we meet to laugh, smile, and have a good time. So the values then drive the behavior, which has, positivity, showing up with a positive mindset, checking in on people when they're having a hard day. Those might be some of the behaviors that roll up to that value. On the right is another set of core values from Paradise Place, Coach Ben on my team. And I didn't mention the one on the left is Coach Steve on my team. He owns a center with his mother, and they're just about to launch a second location, which is very exciting. We put our community and families first. We're kind, we're passionate, we have integrity. And then kind of their why it's not on this slide, but I'm going to forget what it is. Sorry. His why, Coach Ben's why is really, really powerful. And it's about not molding little humans. It's about letting them evolve out of that. But it's not coming to me. So anyways, I'm going to keep going. Sharon Foster, former client and good friend of mine out of Bells Ferry, Georgia. Also the president of Georgia Child Care Association. Shout out to you, Sharon. Her core values are fire. And you can see her behaviors next to each one, right? So you can actually put under integrity, does this employee set the example and shape young minds and heart? Does he or she have high moral standards and show up with integrity and honesty in the workplace, right? So you can actually from here develop bullet point core behaviors and put them into your hiring and into your performance reviews. So when you're onboarding, you're going to want a 30 and 60 and 90 checklist. I'm going to talk more about that. And when they get to their 90-day review, and I hope that y'all are doing 90-day reviews, right? So I call that their trial period. Some of you guys call it the probation period. I don't love the word probation, but their trial period. And that at the end of the 90 days, and this is how we always hire, when we hire people, we tell them, you're going to be in a 90-day trial. We're going to onboard you and give you a 30, 60, 90 checklist of things that we want you to learn. And we're going to train you and we're going to invest a lot in you. And when we get to the 90-day point, we can determine whether it's a fit moving forward. And if we both agree that this is a fit for you and for us, then we will pass that checkpoint, and we will bring you into the next phase of your professional development, and we'll welcome you in as a full-fledged employee, essentially. We also have a slight bump in raise at that time in wage scale. Also, I've seen a lot of people do a 90-day bonus, a performance bonus, or a retention bonus at the 90-day mark. So if you don't have little bonuses along the way to your A and B players to reward them, then that might be something that you would want to implement, and you will see retention grow from that one strategy. So, and one more example, I think, this is ours. So my company's core values are outside the box, passion, integrity, fun, and impact. Another thing you can do with these, and those are the behaviors below. So when we get to integrity, again, as an example, on the performance review at the 90-day as well as the year mark, does this employee do the right thing by clients and fellow team members? Do they behave honestly and are trustworthy? Do not backstab or gossip. If your employee gossips or has a tendency or propensity to gossip, this is the time when you have that heart-to-heart with her about the fact that you have noticed that she seems to get some kind of level of fun and enjoyment out of gossiping, but how much it hurts others. And so having that heart-to-heart at a leadership level and having those hard conversations about the fact that this is a gossip-free workplace. I get that question a lot. That's why I'm bringing it up, is what do we do about gossip? You just have to lead it out of your organization. Address it, nip it in the bud, talk about how mean-spirited it can be, talk about how it hurts, and maybe do some role plays around it, make a game at a meeting about it, and then continue to manage it out of your organization. And as your toxics leave, as you continue to let go of your C- D and F players, the gossip will be less in your organization. You might not ever fully get rid of it, but you can damn sure nip it in the bud. And then speaks openly and honestly without fear of judgment. So these are all core value behaviors, and you can put them on the wall in your break room. You can show photos of a pictorial example, because a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? So you can show and give examples. And then what we do in our monthly team meetings is we do shout outs. And so we have employees all shouting each other out organically because they're loving on each other. And if they want to shout each other out to a specific core value, all the better. So that starts to happen once you get the culture of your organization up and you start onboarding your team members to these core values so that they remember them. So you might have a little example, a video, a game, something that you do with each new employee in their first week of employment that represents each core value. And that will stick with them over time. So you're really living and breathing your core values. All right, so strategy number 2, so that was strategy number 1, is to hire by, onboard to, live and breathe, and use your core values in your organization as much as you can. Put them on t-shirts, put them on mugs, create a swag bag, and have different things that speak to those values, okay? And again, Gen Z and millennials love this. They want this. They want an organization that's led by values. Strategy number 2 is assign a buddy on day 1. So just simply having a really strong teacher mentor program where people feel that they get to come into the workplace on the first day when they're very nervous and they get a buddy. Huge retention strategy to have a work friend and somebody that's checking in on them, and that's their sole job. And then you can, of course, lay out a full-scale teacher mentor program to have your mentors teaching your mentees how to do all different sorts of things in the center. And I've seen extremely full-bodied, extensive, excellent mentor programs. You can find them by talking to each other. We have examples in the academy, but using a coach or consultant, if you're completely flummoxed about how to get started in developing these, there's probably books all about how to create and examples online, as well as inside of your ECE libraries and such that you can find for how to create a mentor program. But that's a huge, huge strategy for ongoing training and onboarding. And then the final strategy of the 3, and again, I said I'm going to give you a lot more, is professional development timeline. So this is one of my favorites. I actually learned about this from Donna Thornton Roberts, industry veteran, when she and I were doing a training together. And she was sharing with me how she onboards her team members. And what she has is basically an 18-month timeline where she sits down with even applicants at the interview phase, people that actually get through the interview hoops and maybe they're on that final interview. She wants to sell them into her program for them to say yes to the opportunity. And she shows them exactly how much professional development is going to take place in the first month, in the first 90 days, in the first 6 months, in the first year, and in the 18 months. And so this is our typical assistant teacher professional development timeline. And this is how much we invest in you, how many hours. We would love for you to get your CDA if you don't have it. And this is how we're going to support you to do that. And so you just paint the picture, and you even create like a graphic and a document of some marketing collateral that shows it. So you can hand it to applicants and new employees as part of their onboarding. Okay. Also to have it by role. So for lead teachers, this is what we do. And depending on how much, where are you at with your degrees, depending on state requirements, on our STARS program requirements, et cetera, yours will all be slightly different depending on your state and depending on how much you want to invest. But giving people a timeline for what to expect in the first 18 to 24 months of employment will stick them. They will be much, much, much more likely to stick with you if you paint this picture for them. And so often we don't do this, and we don't do it with parents either. And it's just crazily impactful at the very beginning of the relationship if you do this. So it's like that bonding piece. And so that is what I would like to see you do. The other thing that I do during onboarding is every single new hire I meet with on a Zoom, because we have a virtual team. We have 25 employees spread around the country, two in different countries. And I meet with every single new employee, including like those 2 new coaches I mentioned. I met with them last week. And I take them through a 1-hour onboarding call, welcome call with the CEO and the founder. And I get to show them, I have a slide deck. Doesn't take me a ton of time. Essentially, it takes me an hour because I have my slide deck updated with all the things that I want them to know about our culture story, our brand story. Where did we come from? How did I start the company and why? Where are we today? What are the things that we're known for? What is our brand essence? How do we serve clients and families? How do we work with each other as a team? How do we roll? All of those things are covered in the employee's first week in my company. And I like to share in person to get to know each employee and get to know their story, to give them a little bit of my time on my calendar is very important to cement them to my company and my vision. So that's something that you might model. Now, let me give you some case studies so you have some additional cool stuff to take out of this webinar to go implement. So Coach Donna on my team, let me do a time check. Coach Donna on my team she's got 3 large centers in South Carolina, and she does her onboarding facilitated by their onboarding specialist offsite. So they have a corporate office, and this allows them to onboard before background checks are cleared. They have a series of onboarding videos. I'm going to share with you the titles of just the first few. They don't watch all the videos back to back. They're sprinkled in with lots of other items. You can see here the list. And this, I want to give a shout out to Beth Cannon, because this was based on her course, Manuals to Modules. And there's just a little shout out with her website there, just in case you want to check out Beth. So this is 5 of Donna's. These are Donna's first 5 videos that she created on onboarding. And again, these are sprinkled in. I don't know the length, but I would recommend a length of between 20 and 30 minutes, no longer, if you can. And you might have more videos that way, but it's pretty easy, guys, with today's tools to make videos. And so here's some action. Here's an action step for what I what you could do to create your own onboarding system for people in their first 4 weeks, their first 30 days. Taking the time to map out your program, create your own branded videos. You can use a screen capture app like Loom, or you can use Zoom with slide decks. And I've also seen actual, like Coach Jody on my team has like all of these training videos for how to do things in the school, like how to clean a bathroom, how to change a diaper, how to do lunch. She basically created all of her own videos using team members to act things out, and they were actually scripted. So they're live humans actually doing things in the school. And that's how she created her training system. So yeah, it's a project. Sure, I'm not gonna, but it will pay off. It gives you that consistency in operations like nothing else. All right, Coach Demarion Tabor on my team out of Atlanta. She does a week-long orientation for every new hire, again, conducted at her corporate office. It ends with lunch with the owner on Friday. I love that little touch. The week of training is very detailed, followed by an orientation at the center. So there's a whole nother second week of orientation. Now they get to go to the center on their second week, okay? And then decorating the corporate office and personalizing the experience. So here's some examples of her branded corporate office week 1 onboarding training with balloons and her branding. She's got a little easel that gives the day's events and how things are going to roll, her little good morning and welcome. You could put even like a little schedule on there, be very cool. And here they are looking at they're doing all their videos as a group onboarding. And then they'll like stop and like do a share and do some trainings and read some things and do some things, and then they'll go on with their video. So that's them doing this out of their corporate office. So your action step here is to create your onboarding and orientation process. What's included? What formats or platforms will you use? What needs to be available? Who needs to be available? Who's going to do these things, right? Do you need to hire someone to handle your onboarding and training part-time potentially? Will you, the owner, be involved, like taking them to lunch, or like I do with my 1-hour orientation Zoom call? What gifts or branded items will be given? Do you have a budget? How will it be personalized? And remember, personalization is huge. Remember, individualization, personalization for Gen Zs. Make it fun and make it a wow experience. The more wow experiences you hear out of your applicant or new hire's mouth, you know you're hitting it. You're hitting it. Finally, Jennifer Slavin on my team, former VP of Ops with 9 location school in Pennsylvania. 2 huge things that made a difference for us were having interview swag. Today's young people love swag, girls or guys. Starting the whole thing off with a thank you, piece of swag. Then we had a kickoff day where each new hire was brought in. We had food, drinks, swag, and sat and got to know them while they did their initial paperwork and intro. And was mainly done with the HR manager. But then she, as the VP of Ops, the owners and the regionals would be passing through and saying hi and getting to know everybody. So those are some more ideas for you. But you can see these are all pretty similar in terms of their first week of onboarding. Now, as I mentioned, you're going to want to do a 30, 60, 90. You're going to want to have a checklist. Same benefits, by the way. So what are the benefits of an A+ training program and having a really good onboarding program like the ones I've been describing? You can share in the chat, but it's the same list of benefits. And there's probably more. So if you want to share even more benefits in the chat, please do that. So what the heck is this 30, 60, 90 I've been referring to? It's training checklists with frequent check-ins. You want them to feel the love. How are they doing? Holding them accountable. How's it going? How's it going? And their work buddy, their mentor could be doing this. A manager could and should, the director should be doing this. If you have an HR training manager, the owner, so everybody can kind of be checking in on them in different times and in different formats. The 30, 60, 90 is simply a training checklist of competencies, specific things that you want them to learn in their first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, clearly laying out by role the expectations of 30, 60, 90. And that makes it, and it can be a smaller bullet point list. It could be 5 things, 5 key things of competencies, or 10 things, right? You don't need to make it 17,000 things. Do not want to overwhelm them. But this will help you lay out your training program for the first 90 days and then beyond. Remember that professional development timeline. Everybody's going to have a slightly unique view. You can use technology for automation of tasks. You can use Asana for project management. You can use Trainual. There's several training platforms out there. I'm going to show you an example of a Trainual case study. Bamboo HR is an applicant tracking system with ability to connect training into it, and there's several out there. And then our recommended partner for courses, for specific courseware and CDA certification courseware is CCEI, cceinonline.com. I'll give them a shout out. So you can be tracking all this stuff. And as our ProCare ladies mentioned, of course, their onboarding paperwork can all be tracked through ProCare. So using technology is a huge best practice to take it off of your plate. You don't want to have to manually track any of this stuff. It's mind numbing and you won't be able to keep up with it. And if you're the owner, you need to be off being the visionary of your business. You can't be in the weeds doing this stuff. So Rob Rubico, 4 locations in the Northeast. He and his wife founded it. He's helping Anna and Jack's Treehouse, and they're an Empire member of mine. They are using Trainual, and he recently provided a kind of an overview in our coaching mastermind retreat to the fellow members, all about how is he using it. So you can see that they have their onboarding for all the categories of the different centers that they have. And then they have their first day on the job center director laid out too. So all the onboarding and training components are laid out inside of Trainual. So they have their job descriptions, their human resources, their leadership, their software, everything's laid out here. It's beautiful. And all their company policies as well. So being able to train on your policies using a system like this, setting it up is a piece of, it's a chunk of work. But once you get it set up, you can kind of set it and forget it. You can get reports. You can hold people accountable. You can see where they are with their tasks. If they're overdue, you can say, hey, how come you didn't do your tasks on time? That kind of a thing. But that is Trainual. So those are some ways for you guys to really take your onboarding and training to the next level. And of course, don't forget to train and develop your leaders. You want to develop your leaders into the C-suite thinkers, the people that are going to drive your organization forward, the VP level, the VP of operations and marketing and enrollment and HR and finance. You want to have people raising up in your organization. So having a development process for how you develop your leaders is really important as well. So that is all I have today. I know that we're trying to keep this within an hour, and we're trying to also provide you guys with time for Q&A. So I'm going to take 2 final minutes here, and then I'm going to pass it back to my friends at ProCare. And as a thank you guys for being here today, I wanted to give you a free gift. I mentioned this in the beginning. This is a free training for teachers, educators, and admin will also get definitely some good stuff out of it. It is our Empowered Educator Training. I'm going to take you really quickly through what it is. It's free. It's all free. childcaresuccess.com/empower. And you will learn why is full enrollment good for teachers. So if you have teachers that are pushing back on having more kids in their class, this will help them get on board and be part of the solution. Engaging with prospective parents, so giving them some tour training, phone skill training, what happens when the leader or administrator is out of the office and a teacher has to answer the phone. That might give you nightmares at night if they have not been trained. Strategies for new teachers, how to gain confidence, building relationships with parents, excellent customer service, having hard conversations with parents, resiliency and wellness. That's a really important one for our Gen Z friends. Setting goals for professional and personal growth. Amazing. Promoting collaboration, being part of the solution. Hello, turning that toxic mindset around. Leadership traits and mentoring and coaching others, which is right in line with what I've been talking about, and creating work buddies and mentorship programs. So it's all here at childcaresuccess.com/empower. So you might want to write that down. And it's free. Also, if you like this, I would love for you to come to our summit. We do the world's largest business conference for the childcare industry. Lots of other little conferences have popped up in the meantime, but we were the first and we're the biggest. Our ProCare friends are going to be there with an amazing booth, as well as 49 other exhibitors and partners and sponsor partners. Orlando, October 12th to 14th. That's a life-changing experience. You'll see people on the website talking about how it's transformational, and we have owners and leaders of all different styles and types. We have early bird tickets on sale now. So the final BOGO deal ends July 2nd. Don't wait, get your tickets now. We do sell out every year. childcaresuccesssummit.com. Go check it out. Watch some of the videos of people there, and you can get a really good vibe of what goes on. Also, Damon John from Shark Tank is our announced celebrity speaker, and we will have more amazing speakers, announcements coming soon, both from ECE and non-ECE. And this is everything that you get when you come to childcaresuccesssummit.com. We're going to be at the beautiful Orlando Rose and Shingle Creek, incredible pools, golf course, spa, the whole thing. So don't miss it, guys. October 12th to the 14th. And with that, I want to end with action steps. And of course, we're going to do Q&A. But really, at the end of the day, how to get the most out of these trainings and webinars you attend for the rest of your life when you're attending these trainings is write down an action step. One baby action step. What are you going to go do? Because at the end of the day, you got to execute, guys. You can attend and learn stuff all day long, and you will have no success and no transformation if you do nothing from what I'm teaching you and others are teaching you. So what 1 or 2 actions do you commit to? Make a commitment to yourself and your business based on what you learned in this session. And when are you going to get them done by? I'm here to hold you lovingly accountable. When are you going to get them done by? All right. And that's what we do in coaching. With that, thank you guys so much. I'm going to stop sharing. You can learn more about me at childcaresuccess.com. And I can't wait to see you soon, hopefully in Orlando, hopefully sooner. Big hugs to everybody, and back to Leah.
Thank you so much. That was really great. And we have some questions for you, of course. Okay. When you talked about assigning a buddy, how do you decide which of your employees is going to make the best buddy? And how do you find time for that when everybody's days are so busy, especially with all the staffing shortages right now?
Yes. So I think knowing that making the investment and having a work buddy program is going to help you with retention. It's smart to maybe hire 1 or 2 extra floaters, or hire more. I always say always be hiring. And if you use some of the techniques that I shared in the core values and in the creating the really cute break rooms and in marketing your school, I think if you just go on Instagram and you follow Coach Jamarian, because she's the childcare brander, you'll see a lot of examples in the past of her Instagram and in the future where she's constantly hiring. Always be hiring. And when you get into this mode, get out of the scarcity of it's so hard to find employees. If you guys continue to say that, that is what you are going to cultivate. So first of all, you have to believe that if you make these cultural changes in your school, you're going to attract more candidates because they're going to have those wow experiences by walking into your program and seeing how cool it is. So having the swag bag, having the selfie wall, having some branding. She's got like fun bean bags and, furry chairs and just all sorts of cool stuff. And I know that your facility might not support that right now, but figuring out ways that you can. How can I craft an environment that feels super yummy for a new hire and a culture that will welcome them in with open arms? So that's where you start, is before you get to the buddy program and all the things, is I want you to be fully staffed. Don't dive into necessarily the buddy program. I would fix your hiring first. Yes, you can ask your teachers and talk to your directors about eventually in the next 90 days, I would love to create a buddy program and create work buddies for everybody so that we can kind of buddy up and have different mentors, mentees, and eventually create a full-scaled mentor program. But for somebody who's worried about coverage and still in a gap in their staffing, if you're missing 2, 3, 4, 5 positions right now, you got to fix those cultural and hiring components so you're fully staffed and even overstaffed. If you don't know how to afford it, we can talk about pricing on another webinar, and do that first. And then you develop people to come out of the classroom because you have coverage and they're doing different projects. And then you can craft your buddy program with that little extra framework of extra staff, extra floater time that you have. As far as the right person is, you can make it a volunteer basis. You can recognize that people have different quirks and different cool things, and it'll naturally evolve if you start putting it in place and putting the framework in place. So ask your leaders, ask your teachers. You don't have to be the only one figuring this out. That's my biggest message to everybody is ask the people that you work with to help you. Paint the vision of what you want to have. Be very clear with your vision and your why, and then get your team to help you make it real.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question. How do you know if someone is coachable? Someone who's coming in maybe not from an ECE background or anything in childcare. How do you know if that's somebody you want to invest your time and resources into?
So it's the interview questions you ask, and asking about a specific time that they had to pivot in a prior job in a workplace, and maybe a time that they had to get constructive criticism from a boss, and what was that specific situation and how did it make them feel? And so by the way that people answer questions and their disposition in the interview, their energy, you will be able to tell if they're coachable or not. And think about the people that you currently have. Who do you have in your school that's working today that you would say is the most coachable, that takes coaching and not criticism, but coaching and critiques lovingly the best? Who are those people? What are the characteristics that they bring to the workplace? And look for people like them. So hopefully that gives you a couple techniques.
It does. And we'll end with, we had one attendee who wanted to know if she will receive a certificate for your trainings. When you complete your trainings, do you give out a certificate?
Yes. We have, each module is, I think, a half hour. So it's a 6-hour certificate of free trainings over at the Empowered Educator link.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but yes, you will get a certificate.
Okay. Well, that is great news. And I have some good news too, especially if you are Noreen Seat. You have stayed till the end and you get a $100 Amazon gift card. We will be in touch with you and make sure you get that. And for everybody other than Noreen, we do have another gift card. If you fill out this survey, please, you'll see the link and the QR code on your screen. We'll choose another winner from there. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We love having Kris on, and that she can share so much of this about such an important topic, and one that kind of gets overlooked a lot, the importance of onboarding and keeping up with that training. So thank you for joining us. Please keep in touch with us through our social media channels, through Kris's social media channels. We'll let you know about upcoming webinars that we have, podcasts, blogs, the whole shebang. And until then, you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.